The Chicago Bears fired Matt Eberflus, and guess what? I'm lucky enough that my co-host is a Chicago Bears fan, born and raised in Chicago.
Yep.
The Thanksgiving debacle, 30 seconds to get one playoff, seemed to be the nail in the coffin for Matt Eberflus. But I want to ask you, Paige DeMarcos, after a couple years of Matt Eberflus, what is your initial reaction to the firing of head coach Matt Eberflus?
So, one, Matt Eberflus, the person, big fan. Yep. My mom actually worked with him in his foundation, which is a big deal. ALS, his father. So I want to put all that stuff to the side.
Yeah,
right?
Put it aside.
Let's just put all this aside.
Put it to the side.
This is just football, okay? This is just football. Holy shit, am I happy that this happened. And it is because there were the last 3 games. They played the Minnesota, all in the division. Lions game, Packers game, Vikings game. All should have been won. All last-minute decisions. And let's bring it back to the Fail Mary, right? That was the beginning of the end for Matt Eberflus. And he came into this year with a tough task of they made a lot of changes, but they kept Eberflus, right? And I don't like when organizations do that. So let me be very clear. I put this up on the top. That's McCaskey. That's Ryan Poles. That's Kevin Warren. And Kevin Warren was brought in to change things. So Kevin changed things. Mm-hmm. And he did. For the first time in 105 years, the Chicago Bears fired a coach in season. It has never happened. That's why I didn't think if he did this for 7 more games, we were going to get this. Because I was asking for something that had never happened before.
He made it undeniable, though, right?
Look,
if you want a master class on how to get your ass fired, that was the master class right there. And
100%.
And I think that the way the Chicago Bears ended last year, right, with him gaining momentum, I think is what you started this off by saying. Matt Eberflus is a good guy, right? And you believe in his principles, and he probably has good integrity as a person, right? Yeah. And you're like, this is a guy that I want to be in the building. This is the type of culture we potentially want. But you got to get the football part, right? Like this is one of those situations where good guys finish last.
Good guys do finish last. And football coaches are traditionally, like Bill Belichick, I don't think I want to have a beer with that guy.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, it's very rare to have a Bruce Arians. I got so spoiled here. Like, I totally recognize that, where I have a damn good football coach, but I also have a guy that's cool as shit that you want to hang out with.
Dope as hell.
But Bruce was brutally honest. Mm-hmm. Like, in a way that was, I never saw from Eberflus. And a lot of times that's what happened. You're like, offensive guy, defensive guy, right? And this is the part where Eberflus was totally out of the way, let Shane Waldron run the show. We obviously saw that was a debacle, right, in and of itself. And I think as a fan and a reflection of the fan base, this was you were going to have a riot on your hands after this loss. Like, you can't get on camera after you make these mistakes and go, no, I'm good with what I did. Because that's what he did. He did it after the Hail Mary. He did it after the Packers. Like, you can be wrong, but you got to own being wrong, man. You got to be accountable for being wrong.
Right.
And he lacked accountability, and Caleb Williams' dad tweeted about it, if you recall.
Yeah, I do. I remember that.
I'm like, this is a common theme and issue, and accountability is a big deal. People make mistakes. Nobody's perfect. But just own the mistake, right? Own the mistake and move along.
Yeah, and this is where I think Matt went wrong, right, is that he's a defensive-minded coach. And we've seen this setup before, right? If you, whatever side of the football you grew up on, you play the other side of it as far as hiring a coordinator and letting them run that entire side, right? My time at LSU, we had the same thing, right? Coach O was a defensive-minded head coach, defense, and then the offensive.
Joe Brady got a lot of offers after that.
That's why. But you look at it with Eberflus, this is what I think came down to. He was too nice in the sense of the fact of he let the offensive side of the football do whatever the hell they want, right? And now you're putting your fate in the hands of Shane Waldron, right? And then minor details like, okay, what are we going to do with 30 seconds left? If you go back and look at Caleb, he's looking at everybody like it looks like he wants to get the play in. He looks like, I don't agree with that play. He looks like, hey, do y'all know how much time we have left? Hey, are we going to call a timeout, right? Like it was so many different things. And Matt being a defensive side of a defensive football guy, that he probably never even got into that part, which you can't do that, right? After the first stuff up, it's not acceptable anymore.
No.
Since the Hail Mary, you can't have any more mismanagement, clock management, undisciplined type situations within your football team. And he doubled down, he tripled down, he damn near quadrupled down on fumbling clock management situations.
Yeah, he fumbled those clock management situations, and for Bears fans, this is gonna probably sting when I bring this up. But if you recall, the end of the Rodgers-McCarthy era. Mm-hmm. This this is a reminder of that. Like,
right.
I'm remembering Rodgers looking to the sideline, losing his shit, screaming at McCarthy because McCarthy's known for having a tough time managing the clock down the stretch.
He had the same issue with the Cowboys.
Correct.
Or is having
the same issue. And here's the thing. I recognize Caleb is not a veteran, but Caleb is exceptionally smart as a football player. Mm-hmm. He's really intelligent. He knows what's going on out there.
That's why you seen him, like, because it looked like they gave him something.
And he was like, no.
That ain't going to work.
No, and that's the part that I think people get a little, this is not college anymore, right? The NFL, these guys, if they're smart enough, they should have a say. Now, the coaches are still the coaches, but you got to have a little bit of, I'm watching Caleb and I'm frustrated for him.
Yeah.
Because I'm frustrated that he looks like he's kind of in chaos, when in reality, the chaos starts at the top and it's falling down the ladder to him. And he's being put in a non-win situation. And so I want to spin this, though, because I know for us, we want to talk about, how do we make this as a Bears fan, right? I want hope, Keith. I need hope. Because
y'all had hope this offseason when DJ Moore, Keenan Allen.
No. I want to be clear on this. Shane Waldron was never my pick, okay? I'm going to put that to the side. Let's look at, you've got a core nucleus here for the next few years. Mm-hmm. You've got Rome till 2029. You've got DJ Moore till 2030. You've got, obviously, Caleb on a rookie deal. You've got Roshan Johnson, I think it's 2028. DeAndre Swift through 2027. This is with the exception of Keenan Allen, Cole Kmet through 2028. You have a really good young core nucleus.
Yep.
So who is the best suited coach to come in and tap into that? Because I saw a couple people say defensive guys. I can't.
Out on that. You can't do that again.
No.
You can't do it again.
No, you can't follow up Eberflus with
it
that. It's not going to work. You have to hire an offensive guy, but what offensive guy?
Yeah, so I'm going to say two things, right? I'm going to first address the roster situation. Yep. You have to address the offensive line. And, we talked previous to the season, right? And I'm like, hey, I like the skill positions. Yep. I like what they do defensively. But this offensive line is an issue, right? And they've drafted some, but they've gotten it wrong, right? Yeah. And so now you have to spend a lot of draft capital and plus also free agency capital to get guys to be able to protect Caleb Williams, because we've seen really good Caleb Williams. And when he's protected, when he's in the pocket, going through things, he looks like, oh, shit, this might be that dude, right? He might be an all-pro quarterback.
Heisman Caleb.
Yeah, that looks like Heisman Caleb. So I'm going to say that first, address the offensive line. But you know what I'm saying? Caleb is not having much of a good time past USC, right? And my guy, Lincoln Riley's at USC right now. USC is in the Big Ten, and I don't think he likes it at all, right? So if I was the McCaskies, I'm giving a phone call to Lincoln Riley, and I'm saying this. We are going all in on our young quarterback, Caleb Williams. Put him back with the guy that he committed to out of high school, right? Yeah. He went to Oklahoma with him. Lincoln Riley left to go to USC. Caleb Williams said, I'm coming with you. Yep. So why not put it back together in the NFL? If the Caleb Williams experiment doesn't work, you want to say if you're Kevin Warren, right, if you're the McCaskies, if you're Ryan Poles, that we gave Caleb Williams every opportunity to be successful, and what is a better opportunity than not giving him his head coach in college that he won a Heisman with, which is part of the reason why he was the number one overall pick in the first place. So I'm going Lincoln Riley. I'm pulling up from 3, and I'm going up with Lincoln Riley.
Yeah, you're pulling out somebody that I haven't seen, but I think, a couple of the names that have been thrown in there, you've seen Ben Johnson a lot. You've seen Cliff Kingsbury a lot. And that's where I'm going, hell no to Cliff. Hell no.
Why?
Because I know Cliff. I've seen the Cliff experiment with a young quarterback who came from Oklahoma, from a Lincoln Riley system, and it didn't.
Who are you talking about?
Kyler Murray. It didn't fucking work, okay? It didn't fucking work, and it's not going to work this time around. You can't, this is not that situation. Mm-hmm. And I think you also need to adjust your fan goggles, people, because Jaden Daniels doesn't look the same.
Right.
And that offense doesn't look the same. And I know second half Cliff. I didn't want him then, and I don't want him now. The better version of that, the more logical version of that, is Lincoln Riley.
And remember, they were talking about Lincoln Riley going to the Cowboys a couple years ago. I don't think that.
Why would you want that job now?
Yeah, thank you, 100%. And this is what fans are going to do, and that's why I say Lincoln Riley. Go, oh hell no! Look how USC looks, right? But you can't judge it in one vacuum, right? We don't know what USC has had roster deficiencies from the very beginning, right? It's going on 10, 15 years since the years of Reggie Bush, right? So I think you have to look at Lincoln Riley and say, hey, what can he help our young quarterback with, and do people believe he's a leader of men? And I think I can answer both of those questions. I think yes for both of those.
I think yes to both of that. And how about we try something new?
Yeah, 100%.
Can we
the non-defensive head coaches.
Can we commit in Chicago to doing the best thing for the offense and giving this a real shot to work? Because what hasn't worked is half-assing this.
Yeah.
And that's what I do now. I want them to go all in. If you're going to do this and you believe in Caleb, and I fully believe in Caleb, this has to happen. You have to get Lincoln Riley, or I think two other really good options are Ben Johnson, the offense. Hide your ears, Lions fans, okay? Hide your ears. You got lucky to keep him this year. There's no chance he's not going to entertain a head coaching job this offseason. I can't imagine that it's really hard to become a head coach. He got lucky to say no to one cycle and come back. You're not always so lucky, right? So I think Ben Johnson's, obviously what he's done with Jared Goff, what he's been able to do in Detroit, a franchise that has literally never been to a Super Bowl, okay? The fact that he's got them where they are.
No, what was the stat? They were
never a favorite to win the Super Bowl.
Favorites.
Ever. That's how bad the Detroit Lions have
been. And not finishing the season, just week 1 through 17 or 18.
In the history of the franchise, they have never been a favorite. Yeah. That's insane.
No, that is wild.
That's probably my top option. That's probably my top option, but I really like Lincoln Riley, and I really also like Todd Monken, guy who grew up in Chicago, understands the fan base, understands the market. Baltimore is a tough-ass place to be. He's been there the last 2 years. He's changed the offense. He's brought in a lot of what you've seen success with Lamar Jackson, and I think Lamar is more backyard football than Caleb is.
Yeah, 100%.
So if you're able to get Lamar to play within structure, you can get Caleb to play within structure. And I think tap into the things that work and use the running game and come in. And I do not want to undersell knowing the Chicago market. That helps. It really does. Knowing how to deal with the fan base, knowing how to deal with the people around you. Eberflus looked like he had never seen the city of Chicago, the way he acted.
Yeah.
Like, you can't do that in big markets. You can't. You can't do that in Philly, New York, Dallas, Chicago. You can't come out and go, yeah, I just did a moronic thing, but I'm behind the moronic thing. Yeah. I had 30 minutes to think about it. I'm still with it.
You can't be timid, right, in those markets because those fan bases need somebody to tell them shut the hell up and sit down, right? And vice versa. Like they want both sit down and shut the hell up.
Yes.
I got it. Matt Eberflus, it was more like you said, it was a deflection and avoidance, and then that's not what people want, right? They want the explanation. This is why I'm doing this, and you know what? And we look at it the other side of it, right? This guy was on his way to being fired, but he's winning his ass off. Nick Sirianni, right? And people say he's a jackass and everything else. But the problem is that he's a Philadelphia Eagles fan, right? Like he embodies what the Philadelphia Eagle fan base is. So of course they're going to have a contentious relationship, but I think they embrace him. You know what it is? They respect him at the end of the day, right? And say, you know what? This is a guy that even if he messes up because he's fully committed into what he's doing. He's not pointing fingers. He's like, look, it's on me.
He does, and he's Italian. He represents that area of the country. He very much fits and embodies what it is to be an Eagle, right? What does it mean to be a Philadelphian, right? He embodies all that crap. He does, and he owns it, and he goes up and down, and they ride the waves, and at the end of the day, they've been to a Super Bowl. They took Mahomes probably the closest we've seen. They should have won that game. Like, that's a damn good team. They took care of the Ravens on Sunday this past weekend. So, like, this is a team that you should be afraid of. And I think that's where Todd Monken for the Bears, that's a really good fit from. He could embody the city and he could understand what that means while also still being an offensive guy. Because it's really hard to be a tough, hard-nosed guy and be an offensive guy. That's pretty much non-existent. They're all people like Mike T, right? Like those are defensive guys. Very rarely. Lincoln Riley's not exactly a tough guy.
Yeah. I mean, Andy Reid, right? You would say the same thing. They're more passive. You think of Jason Garrett, Sean McVay, right? You don't
Sean Payton.
Yeah, they don't exude toughness, right?
No, 100%. And Andy has the benefit of just being a large human. So he has he's a little tougher. Like him and BA are probably the guys that probably went on that line, right? Of both. Now, my last, and absolutely there's 0% chance that this is happening, but I'm throwing it out there because I did call this man out of retirement at one point.
Who is this?
BA. I got you out of retirement once. Can I get you out of retirement again? I know you wanted to coach the Bears back with Jay Cutler, but hear me out. This is your chance to come back and right that wrong. They turned their back. They hired Mark Trestman over Bruce Arians. Okay? Which was, in my lifetime, the singular dumbest thing your franchise has done. Okay? The worst thing we've done. Make it right. Call BA. Offer him Offer him $15 million, whatever the hell he wants, a golf course in Chicago. Let's make it happen. I know there's no chance.
I actually, and I don't mind that because you're talking about a guy that's ran the gamut. He's been everywhere, worked with Peyton Manning, Ben Roethlisberger, Carson Palmer. Meaning that he's had different mentalities, but he's also had guys at different points in their career. Carson Palmer was a reclamation project, right, at Arizona. Like, he was trying to get him to believe in himself again. Ben Roethlisberger wanted to hold on to the football for 5 seconds, right?
Peyton Manning was a rookie.
Yeah, Peyton Manning knew more football than any other coach in the building, right?
100%.
So you just went through so many different facets that I actually, and then he dealt with Tom Brady, right?
And Jameis Winston.
Yeah, how do you, and my dog, J-Mo, baby. Jameis Winston for league MVP, right? We're gonna get that started right now. But Paige the Marcos, have a little fun, man. We're going to continue to have some fun on here. You know what we're going to do? We're going to play a little game. Panic or patience, right? We are, 12, 13 weeks through the NFL season?
Yeah, I think this is week 14.
Yeah, week 14. So it's time to decide whether these teams, these slightly contenders, teams sitting above 500, if we believe if they are the real deal or not. So, Chiefs.
Okay.
Is it time to panic or be patient?
It's time to be patient until otherwise noted. And listen, I know there isn't an analytic, a stat that is in favor of you guys continuing to win in these moronic ways. There's just not. It is, statistically, it does not make sense, basically, what they're doing. But superheroes don't make sense. And Patrick Mahomes is a superhero. And until Patrick Mahomes is not the quarterback with Andy Reid as his head coach, I need to see it. I need them to fall off. I need them to actually, and I get it. Logical Paige says, it might be time to be a little bit concerned.
A little bit nervous, yeah.
But then I go, nah, Mahomes is still there. He's still Mahomes, right? And I see a commercial of him with Andy Reid, and I go, yeah, nah, they're still the two biggest badasses in the league. And until somebody knocks them off, they got the crown, man. They got the crown, and until the crown's taken from you, you can't actually be worried.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
No, 100%. I'm patient, right? And everybody keeps saying that they're winning close games. Well, they're winning the games, right? And then they're going to make it to the playoffs. Then all they have to do is win 3 games, right? And
100%.
You can't tell me you don't trust them. And you know what else, too? This pressure situation that the Chiefs don't have is that all the other teams are going to get a little bit tight. They're going to get a little bit nervous, right? And that's worth 3 to 5 points in a playoff game. So while you look at the Kansas City Chiefs and you say they don't have it, you know what they have? Experience and confidence.
Championship pedigree.
Pedigree.
Championship pedigree. And I think Andy Reid, at the end of the day, he's on the winning side for a reason, because the Bears have played in a lot of close games and they've been on the wrong side. That's the difference of the talent is this much. It's every weekend. You're not blowing teams out. That's not how this goes. You're usually winning, and you're winning in close margins. And until somebody knocks them off, I'm going to be patient.
Yep. All right, well, let's keep this thing going. We in Arizona right now. We in Phoenix, Scottsdale. We going Arizona Cardinals.
Yeah.
Is it time to panic or be patient?
It's time to panic, Cardinal fans. I'm very sorry. And I think the excitement was probably premature, and I think that's part of this also. But you were looking at the division. You were looking at a floundering Niners, Seahawks, like Rams 2 weeks ago, right? 2 teams, all 3 teams that were like, they weren't really figuring it out. Now the Seahawks, I think they won 3 in a row. The Rams got back in the win column. Like, those teams also have championship pedigree. They have guys on those rosters that have won Super Bowls. They have coaches that we believe in. Now, I know Pete Carroll's not there, but Pete Carroll's still there, okay? And that defense is still there. And it's still the 12th man. You still got everything going on there in Seattle. And I think that's where, for the Cardinals, I think we got a little ahead of ourselves. Like, I think they're like a 9-win team, and then next year they're going to be a team. But I don't think this is the team that ends up winning the division. And I think it is time to panic, I guess, as far as the excitement that was 2 weeks ago. You can't even be anywhere near that now.
I'm going to say this, Arizona Cardinals, be patient. Don't listen to Paige DeMarcos.
Okay.
Be patient. You want to know why? Because the rest of this division is still floating around 500.
True.
You had the Seattle Seahawks go to play the New York Jets, a New York Jets team that's everything but dead right now, right?
For sure.
And they've made every mistake under the sun,
but they still won.
But you saw the flaws.
Yeah, you saw the flaws. Yeah.
You saw that they could lose those games. The Los Angeles Rams, right? Yep. They go to New Orleans, almost lose that game, right? To a New Orleans Saints team that did everything but quit also. So, and then the 49ers, I'm just, like
that's
I said,
the team I'm out on.
Yeah, I'm just out all the way on. But Arizona Cardinals fans, Be patient. I think they could pull it out. And you look at the NFC South, only one team is coming out of there, right?
Yep.
NFC North may have 2 teams, right?
They'll have.
Then the NFC East, only one team is coming out of
Probably,
there,
yeah.
probably. And then now you're in battle. You're looking at probably the Washington Commanders, and you're saying, hey, can we beat the Washington Commanders for that 7th seed? So
can they beat the Washington Commanders?
I think they get after it. I believe in Kyler Murray. Kyler Murray, I'm locked in, baby. Call of Duty or no Call of Duty, I'm locked in. I'm locked in and ready to roll. So
I like that.
Let's keep this thing going and flowing, man. Baltimore Ravens, a team that a couple weeks ago I don't think would have even been close to this segment. Boy, is it time to panic or be patient in Baltimore?
Coming off of that LA Chargers win, that was a week ago. That was a week ago. They played on Monday Night Football, and everybody was salivating over what the Baltimore Ravens could be. They went on the road. They took care of business. It's time to panic, and it's time to panic because your automatic weapon is no longer an automatic weapon, and that's Justin Tucker. We've seen something happen today, this Sunday, Week 14, that's never happened in his entire career. He missed 2 field goals and an extra point. He missed it left, right, and center. Like, he is – something ain't right. And it's been joked about that it was that Chiefs stuff that happened last year in the postseason. But he has not been right this year.
Yeah.
And when you're talking about Baltimore and what they've been able to count on for their success – one of those things is Justin Tucker.
Pulling up from 60.
Pulling up from 60. Pulling up from 60 and guaranteeing yourself you can count on that. Today, they lose a football game because Justin Tucker can't make field goals, period. They are not in this football game because they don't have a guy they can count on. Are they going to be able to walk into the postseason if he's like this? No chance. This is panic, full panic, because you're literally, he is an automatic weapon. He's not that this year. And it's not off a cliff. It's nosedive off a cliff is what we're talking about right now.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think it's time to panic also because you're talking about being in the AFC. You're talking about we just talked about Patrick Mahomes. We talked about Josh Allen, the Los Angeles Chargers. You're in a conference where teams score points.
Yeah.
And you need those 3 points. You need the extra points, right? You need to be able to pull up from 60 and have a short field, right? And be able to make those. Like this guy was almost like the Steph Curry of making field goals. You knew as 100%. Soon as I crossed the half court, which is, the 50-yard line in the NFL, like we could employ Justin Tucker here, right? And you look at what the Baltimore Ravens are right now. We have to be completely honest. This is a team that's still learning how to win in the playoffs, right? Lamar Jackson is still trying to develop that blueprint for himself on how to win. So you can only expect that, hey, what we've seen in the past may project a little bit to the future as far as winning on the margins. Yeah. And you're talking about marginal wins against good AFC teams. Those 3 points, they matter, man.
They matter a lot.
At the end of the day. You look at the Pittsburgh Steelers, right? I think it's been, 2 games where they won only on field goals. The offense didn't score any points.
That's AFC North football.
Yeah, that's AFC North football.
Like,
yep,
that's a big part of this. And, like, the way the playoffs shake out right now, if it ended today, they'd be facing the Pittsburgh Steelers in the postseason in a wild card game. Like, you can't not have somebody you can count on to kick because in the cold, in the snow, the kickers are probably more important in the AFC North than any other division, quite frankly. It is. You can't not have him ready to rock. So they got to go sign somebody.
I know. I was just about to ask you that. What would you do? You would go sign someone and cut Justin Tucker? Yeah, I mean, because it's tough. Because we can't say it right without fully flushing it out. Because are you going to carry 2 kickers on your roster, right? And the other part is this: you're talking about one of the greatest kickers of all time. Like
you got to you got to go see a mental specialist. Yeah. Literally. You got a sports performance coach coming in and dealing with him because it's not, he hasn't lost his leg.
Right.
He's not missing it by his strength is gone. He's missing it, like I said, left, right, and center. Like he's literally not kicking well and it's a nosedive. So I think you have to get a sports performance coach in there. But if you really fancy yourself a Super Bowl contender, which they do, and if they don't make a Super Bowl this year, the noise is going to get really freaking loud for Lamar. Yeah. And for John Harbaugh, and just overall as an org, they brought Derrick Henry in there to go play for a Super Bowl.
Yeah, to win.
That's what they did. So they're not going to let the kicking game be what keeps them out of it. And I trust the Ravens to handle this well. Why? Because they always handle. It's the opposite of the Chicago Bears. Organizationally, they know what the hell to do, and they always do it. They do. So I think they'll handle it. They'll handle it how they need to handle it because they always do.
Yeah, and like I said, I think it's time to panic. What would I do as far as with Justin Tucker?
Yeah.
I would tell him kick through it. We have a couple more weeks left to the season. I would give him at least 2-3 more weeks. Yeah. He has to kick through it because this is the thing. When he's on, you have the best kicker in the NFL. And and this is the other part, is that all the good kickers are taken already, right? And you're talking about pressure situations and pressure moments. Who is going to tell you that this guy that we're going to pick up that's working at Lowe's, right, is going to be able to kick a field goal at Arrowhead minus 10 degrees, right, and seal the deal? So
I got one.
Who you got?
I got one. And he's kicked for the Green Bay Packers this year and the Tennessee Titans. He's a local kid. He played at NC State. I have seen him kick multiple 60-plus yarders. Brandon Naverson. Sign Brandon. Mm-hmm. Sign a kid who is sitting on the sidelines right now, who's not going to cause issues with Justin, right? And bring him in. He has a strong leg. Like, that's your perfect situation. And it's not like you go sign Cairo Santos or another like starter where it's like going to mess with Justin. And at the end of the day, his mentals are off no matter what. Like, you got to get that, you got to get it right, and you can't rely. So if I was them, I'd go sign him. And that way you have him, put him on the practice squad. You know what I mean? You don't have to bring him up to the active roster, but you got to have a plan. And the plan needs to start 3 weeks before you need the plan to happen. You know what I mean? So I think that's where it's tough. It's Justin Tucker, Keith. I hate saying it out loud. Like, Tuck, don't be mad at us. Like, please, I hope you get it right. I hope you get it right, man.
100%. Well, let's wrap this thing up down south, man. We're going to the Houston Texans. Is it time to panic or be patient in Houston?
I think it's time to panic. And I think it's been time to panic for quite a few weeks. This team has not looked good this year.
No.
And Jamie Eisner, shout out to COO of the Draft Network, he and I talk a lot about this when we did our fantasy podcast, where it's like the first half of the year sets the tone for the narrative for your team. And it's like people kind of forget to change the narrative when the back half of the season happens, right? Great example of that is the Miami Dolphins. Like, every year they start out hot, but they finish horribly in December. And it's like, you aren't the team we saw in September. You're the team you are when you end the season. And that's kind of the same situation here with the Texans. Like, CJ Stroud, this is not CJ's fault, but the national media crowned CJ a top 5 quarterback coming into the year. Like, after 1 year, which is totally insane.
No, do you know what they were saying?
Totally
they were saying
insane.
They would take C.J. Stroud over any other quarterback in the NFL, which is crazy. You're talking about a guy for 1 year, and you go back and you look at the stats. And this is not any hate, right? But this is
just what
where the media puts guys in situations that they don't even deserve to be in, right? To where they set the expectation for them to fail. When you talk about a guy, I think threw 22 touchdowns, 23 touchdowns, right? Which is a solid year for a rookie, but any other quarterback throws 22 touchdowns, 23 touchdowns. Kirk Cousins, right, who's been doing it for 10 years, we've never said we'd take him over any quarterback in the NFL. So making that argument for C.J. Stroud, I get it. It was exciting. It was young. The Houston Texans were –
it was fun.
They were a project that ate 1 year. Yeah, you like DeMeco Ryans. They did C.J. Stroud and Will Anderson at the same time, right? 100%. And everything was rolling, but he should have never been placed in that. So Houston Texans, you said it's time to panic.
I'm panicking because I think you had unrealistic expectations, largely from outside noise. Yeah. I think you also had some intrinsic.
Well, some people said it was Super Bowl, They were ready to Super Bowl.
Yeah, I mean, they were close to getting the Ravens last year. People were trying to say, okay, this is now they're going to come back and they're going to get, and they haven't. They just haven't. And the defense has looked really good all year, but CJ has struggled. And you can't, I hear this argument all the time for Brock Purdy. Well, Brock Purdy needs his Avengers. Well, so does C.J. Stroud. Mm-hmm. What did he look like without Nico Collins? That's a fair assessment.
That's true.
Like, I don't like...
And an injured Stephon, right?
Thank you. Like y'all going to keep it even, let's keep it even. Because if you guys want to say all that stuff, and that's national media across the board, Brock Purdy can't play. What you mean Brock Purdy can't play? When Brock Purdy's got all his guys in there, he looked like he could play. Mm-hmm. C.J. Stroud can't play without Nico Collins. One guy. Yeah. Literally, one guy changes the entire fabric of that offense. CJ does not look like the same quarterback. And like I said, I like CJ, and I like what he's done, but the conversation pissed me off in the offseason because it's a recency bias. Mm-hmm. It's like all the things that have happened, Patrick Mahomes, like
Josh Allen,
how
Lamar
disrespectful
Jackson.
are you to an entire decade of these
Joe
guys?
Burrow,
Thank
right?
you. That's just the guys in his conference. We didn't even go to the other side yet.
All right, Jalen Hurts.
That's what I mean. Are y'all kidding me? Yeah. Like we need to keep it even. 1 year, he played great. Sophomore slump's a thing for a reason. Mm-hmm. And I think this is why you need to panic because he has not progressed. He's regressed. And that's over the totality of the season.
Yeah.
And I'm not talking about one-offs. I'm talking about I've watched every Texans game. He has regressed this year. And that doesn't mean that they're not going to be great moving forward. I think organizationally they're in a good spot. But it's time to panic as far as this is not a team.
2024 season.
This team is not competing for a Super Bowl, period.
Yeah, and I think that's the context, right?
Yep.
Panic occasions in regards to winning the Super Bowl.
Yep.
I agree with you. It's time to panic some because even when they're winning, it's not good, right?
It's
and
not
they're
pretty.
playing in probably the easiest division.
Yeah.
In the
by
NFL,
far.
right? You're talking
That's
about
also a big part
the
of it,
Colts
too.
who have been a question mark. You're talking about the Jaguars.
Yep.
You have them. You have the Titans who have been god-awful, right?
So your division is the worst.
Yeah, it's the worst. It's the worst. So I'm right there with you. I say it's time to panic too. Just as far as putting it in context of winning the Super Bowl. But we had a conversation. You kind of hint on it a little bit.
Yep.
And I want to go back to it. You talked about C.J. Stroud, right? And how there seemed to be a bit of a regression, right? Whether that's the scheme stuff, whether that's C.J., whether that's the talent being there, not being there.
Yeah.
But there's also, he got drafted, number 2 overall?
He did.
The guy that went number 1. Everybody wrote off Mr. Bryce Young. He's too small.
Not me, Bryce.
He can't play. We've seen a resurgence, right?
Yep.
Bryce Young is trending upward as far as looking like an NFL quarterback with this roster. So I want to have a conversation of just the impact of rosters as far as with Bryce Young and C.J. Stroud and just compare the two and a year and a half into their career where they stand at right now.
Yeah, I think that's where I'd like to have a real conversation with the media, right? Like you look at what the narrative was around CJ versus Bryce. Let's revisit that right now, ladies and gentlemen. Literally. And let's keep it 100%. Let's keep it real. That team in Houston, put Bryce Young on that team.
No, first of all, it's by far better.
It's not even close. That roster
offensive,
is
defensively, coaching.
There is one
stadium,
correct.
Colors, city, all of it. It's better. It's just a better situation.
Right. I was gonna say, name a thing that's better in Carolina.
Right.
My argument is the quarterback, and I would argue I stand by. And I like Bryce, but I know you did too. And I think the thing for us was always he didn't forget how to play quarterback.
Yeah.
He played quarterback in the SEC. He played quarterback at Alabama. He beat Georgia when Georgia had only NFL players on the other side. So he didn't forget how to play quarterback. And what you've seen him over the last few weeks, even though they didn't win all those games, they were in those games.
Yeah.
They almost beat
He looked competent as a quarterback, which is a step forward for a rookie.
And he's getting better, and there's nobody around him. Jonathan Brooks has come in and played a good role. He's checking it down to him. He's helping. But look at those receivers. Xavier Legette had like 5 drops today. You traded away Mingo, okay? Yep. You literally have actively gotten worse as a roster offensively around him, and he's gotten better. So what does that say to you? Because to me, that means I got to double down on figuring out how to make this work. You gave up a lot of capital to get Bryce Young. You've got 3 more years of him on a rookie deal. You need to do everything that you should have done 2 years ago. You need to do it this offseason. And I think the compare and contrast with CJ is that they did do all the things for CJ. Mm-hmm. And now CJ's having some struggle. And that's on CJ. And that's on coaching. And that's on injuries. Some of those things happen. They got to work through that. But on the flip side with Bryce, he hasn't had that organization go all in for him, Keith. So that's what I'd like to see at this point, is I'd like to see them actually do that. Do they do that? I don't know.
Yeah, you know what it goes down to is these people in the NFL media, right? They have no integrity in what they do, right? To be completely honest, because all of these people rode the Bryce Young train through the Heisman, through his time at Alabama, right? And then has a rough patch. And then all those guys jumped off of the bandwagon and said, you know what? You know what that lets me know? Y'all cheated the process from the very beginning, because there's no way you watch Bryce Young at Alabama. Then he goes to Carolina, which we know is by far the worst NFL situation. Yep. He doesn't play good football, and then y'all out on him. That lets me know that y'all didn't do the work from the very beginning, and I think that's the lazy part when you talk about in this industry, guys tweeting out, you know what, I'm just out on it. And then you jump on the C.J. Stroud bandwagon, right? Nobody was pounding the table that hard for C.J.
No.
C.J. was a default number 2 quarterback, which was a good football player, but you still had questions about him. But because he played well in the NFL, everybody wants to try to make themselves look right and not talk about the deficiency, because some of what you're seeing right now is what you're seeing at Ohio State, right? We always talked about C.J. Stroud's best game was the semifinal game against Georgia when he unlocked another level, right? And he entered the NFL on that level. But now you're seeing the C.J. Stroud that we're seeing in big moments that lost to Michigan, right? That a couple other big games didn't make it, right? That didn't make it to the national championship. So I look at the NFL media and I'm saying it's a lack of integrity, and the lack of integrity is because y'all don't simply do the work, and there's nothing to rely back on or to trust in at the end of the day.
Trust in the process. They can't if there's no process.
Right.
And I think that's the reality, is what you bring up is a lack of integrity and just owning your mistakes. GMs are wrong every year. They're wrong every year. The greatest GMs, Ozzie Newsome, highly regarded as one of the best of all
ever.
time.
Yep.
If I sat down and had a conversation with him at the Senior Bowl and I said, what are some of your worst mistakes? He couldn't stop talking.
Yeah.
And that's because that's part of it. This is a human process. There is no way to get to perfection. Otherwise, guess what? There'd be 32 billionaires paying for perfection. Okay?
Yeah. No, 100%.
It's not possible.
Prime example right here, right, with the scouting process is there's one guy who drafted Peyton Manning, which gets a lot of credit for that.
It's a great
Bill
example.
Polian. And then he also got on TV and said that Lamar Jackson cannot play football in the NFL. So you're talking about a guy that's going to the Hall of Fame, right? He drafted Peyton Manning.
Yeah.
He was right. Hit a home run, hit it out the park, but it's also the same guy that said Lamar Jackson can't play football in the NFL. So
100%.
that lets you know that you have to have some type of conviction and integrity about what you do in your process. Paige DeMarco is talking about process.
Oh, boy.
College football playoff rankings. We about to have some fun because
It's about to get spicy.
this is what happens, right? The playoff committee, their rankings are based off of politics, right? And a little bit of BS, right? So you want the real deal playoff rankings. You want the 12 best teams. I bought them to you right here.
Oh, boy.
I'm going to start from the very top. Number one.
I want to be clear here. Camera, I want to make sure that this is addressed. This is Keith's list. This is not a draft club list. This is not I'm not being roped into this list. I'm going to attack his list. And this is a Keith list, okay? Keith Sanchez list. So feel free at the Talent Code. Go find him at Coach K Sanchez. Make sure you let him hear about it. Boise State, I'm looking at you.
This list is for the real football fans.
Oh, wow.
That watch football.
Real football fans.
That know football.
Wow.
That is not worried about the politics and simply want the best 12 teams.
Could be an SEC bias thing.
Here we go.
All right.
The number one team, we're going to put Oregon. We're going to put Oregon by default.
About
Number 2 is Texas. Number 3 is Georgia. Number 4, Ohio State. Number 5, Alabama. Number 6, Tennessee. Number 7, Penn State. Number 8, Notre Dame. Number 9, South Carolina. Number 10, Miami. Number 11, Ole Miss. And number 12, Clemson. That is the best list out there. That is what needs to happen. That is the best 12 teams in college football. I don't want to hear any other arguments.
You don't want to hear any arguments.
That's the best.
Count how many SEC teams. Just so we're clear, he coached where? LSU. Okay, he has a SEC bias. How many SEC teams you got?
Well, listen, you know what it's called? It's called champions, right? And champions recognize champions. I'm a champion. We recognize champions. It's the SEC. It just means more. It is the conference of champions at the end of the day. So
of the two of us, I have more national champions as a figure skater. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. Here are the teams that he left off. Okay. SMU, not on your list.
not on my list.
Indiana, not on your list.
Not on my list.
Okay, just smoked the shit out of Purdue, but sure. Boise State.
Not on my list.
Wow. And this is your biggest, most egregious one. ASU.
Not on my list.
Okay. Let's start with ASU. ASU on a rivalry weekend.
Good story.
No. Let's the rivalry weekend where Georgia should have lost to Georgia Tech. It took 8 freaking overtimes at home to beat Georgia Tech. But he's got Georgia in his top 5.
Because you just said it's a rivalry. And Georgia Tech is playing really good football right now. They beat Miami, handed Miami their first loss, right?
Okay.
Haynes King is balling right now.
Okay.
So
ASU played U of A, who has infinitely more talent on that roster, has arguably wide receiver 1, had a quarterback that everybody talked about coming into the year as being a quarterback that could play in the NFL, and a top tackle on that team. They got guys
That's
at U of A.
not how I have them graded. I have the wide receiver, the quarterback. Not so much.
You don't believe in
tackle.
You don't believe in
I believe in T-Mac, but he can't throw the ball to himself.
Okay.
And he can't block for himself.
You don't think Noah's ever going to play in the NFL?
He may get a shot.
Okay. And you don't like Jonah?
Okay.
All right. Just so we're keeping notes. I just want to make sure we're keeping notes and keeping these fair. No matter what, Ohio State lost to Michigan. Okay, an inferior, talented team.
100%.
That what I'm getting at here is rivalry weekend brings out the best.
Yeah.
And they smoke showed Arizona on the road. They took care of business in a way that was so impressive from beginning to end.
You know what
they
we say?
left no doubt that they should be in the top 12.
You know what we say? Where I'm from in New Orleans, sometimes we say this ain't that, meaning that Michigan is not Arizona.
Okay.
Arizona is not Michigan. We're talking about two calibers of football. When is the last time that Arizona won a national championship?
In basketball, probably.
It's a basketball school, right?
100%.
It's a basketball school.
100%.
Michigan is a football school with possibly the best defensive tackle, right? The number one overall player.
But the other two guys did not play. Colston Loveland did not play, and Will Johnson did not play.
Kenneth Grant played.
Okay.
Kenneth Grant played.
But the two best players, highest rated on the draftnetwork.com, did not play.
Let's talk about this. Michigan versus Ohio State is not Arizona versus Arizona State.
And it feels weird.
That's why I wrap it up right there.
No, we're not wrapping that up at all. ASU deserves to be in the top 12, and it is a travesty that you left them off. SMU, I'm cool with you leaving off.
Yeah, cool stuff.
The one I don't, Ole Miss being in there is ridiculous, and Alabama being as high as you have them, as much as I love Jalen, is ridiculous.
Who do you trust more? Then okay, so
I trust ASU right now, big time.
You trust Arizona State more than you trust Alabama?
Yes.
That's crazy.
They have to go play a road game. Do you know what that team looks like on the road?
Who, Alabama?
Jekyll and Hyde. That team at Oklahoma, we sat in Stillwater and watched that team get smoke showed at a bad team in Norman, Oklahoma. They got to go on the road. You trust them on the road?
I have a question. Have you ever seen Arizona State play in front of 100,000 fans?
Yes, I have.
They don't know what I'm talking about this year. They didn't have to face that. BYU is rowdy town, but there's 60,000 people.
BYU is
it's
don't
different.
Disrespect BYU's environment.
I'm going to ask you this. You went to Nebraska, right?
Yeah.
Is 100,000 versus 60,000? Is it the same?
It's not the same, but you know what I'll say? I'm gonna tell my truth right now. Tuscaloosa ain't got shit on most of those schools. You want to know why? Because it's a fraudulent environment. It's not even tough to play in that environment.
Paige,
it's not.
There's no way you believe this.
It's like the boats of college football. Everybody there's in boat shoes and dressed up, and they're not really that rowdy. Death Valley, going to LSU, Baton Rouge, totally different ballgame.
It matters. So
totally different ballgame.
That's what I'm trying to say. But Alabama went to LSU.
Yeah, but then what did they follow it up with? Going to Norman to play a bad football team, and they couldn't get their head out of their ass during that game.
It's the SEC. Every game is a championship
Oklahoma
game.
was a Big 12 team last year.
Every game is a championship game.
Okay, here we go.
So.
All right. Listen, I think that your list is pretty good, with the exception of Ole Miss does not deserve to be in the Final 12. You cannot keep Boise State, who has done nothing but beat everybody who has if Travis Hunter is not playing both sides, as an individual, he is the most impressive on one side of the football this year, Ashton Genty. What he's done, he has set ridiculous records. He deserves to be in that. They deserve to be in there.
This is not about a deserving thing.
I understand what you're doing.
My playoff rankings is about putting, I told you, politics aside, strength. It's about putting the 12 best teams that I know have the most talent and watching them play football. And that's my 12 rankings.
And I agree. I understand what you did, but leaving ASU off and putting Ole Miss in, I don't think it's fair.
I think Ole Miss would beat ASU.
I don't think so.
I think they would beat them.
I don't believe in Ole Miss. I don't believe in the lane train. This is what happens. Jackson Dart goes up and down.
You gotta believe in the lane train.
No, I know Lane well enough to know not to believe in the lane train. That's how I'm going to leave that one. That's how I'm going to leave that one.
And you know what? I want to highlight this one team as we wrap up. South Carolina.
I'm in on them too.
South Carolina is the most dangerous team in college football.
Yep,
they potentially have the best defensive front. Freshman quarterback Lenore Sellers, he is hot right now. You talk about their losses that they had. This team, you're talking about running the gamut and strength of schedule, they should be in a totally different bracket from the rest of college football. They played Alabama, right, at Alabama. They played LSU at home. Lost both of those games by a total of 4 points. They wrapped the season up with Clemson, right? They had to play Ole Miss. That right there in itself, there's no other team that matches up to that. So I'm looking at South Carolina.
That's
the team that I don't want to play. That is the most dangerous team in college football. South Carolina Gamecocks. They are trending upward. It's almost like in the NFL when we talk about those teams that are like heading into the postseason and they're dangerous, but they may be a wild card team. You don't want to play them. South Carolina, Lenore Sellers, Beamer football down there. You do not want to play.
Yeah, all gas, no brakes on that kid. Like he's like Superman watching him play. He's unbelievable how big he is, how he plays, his excitement. Just overall, South Carolina is a underrated environment In the same way, on the opposite end, Alabama's overrated. They're underrated in the SEC. South Carolina's got a great environment. They've got a really good football team, and they've been robbed of a couple of wins 100%. This year. Like 2 pick sixes against LSU, robbed type of situation. And this is where we can agree on this team because I don't think it matters if they're on the road or at home. I've seen this team. I've seen them be tested, and they stand up against the top talent and teams that are overmatching them. Whereas in the same scenario, I look at a Georgia team, and that's a lame duck team to me. I get that they win, but how many times have we seen them play like shit this year?
I agree with that, but
I'm out on that team.
I'm buying into the championship better.
And I get that.
They've been there before.
I get that.
They've done it
before. They
before.
deserve to be there. I just don't believe in them, is the way I'm saying it.
I'm taking, and this is my statement right now, right, and we haven't even gotten to championship weekend. I am taking the SEC over the field. Give me any SEC team. I'm taking the SEC over the field. Give me South Carolina to roll into South Bend, beat Notre Dame, beat Penn State. I'm taking South Carolina. I think they're a dark horse championship contender, but I'm taking the SEC over the field.
I'm taking the Ducks over the field. Quack, quack. It's time to take care of business, Dan Lanning. All right? Bring that duck. Make Keith respect the duck. Okay? That's how I'm gonna end this segment is I want to make sure that we respect the duck because you have zero respect for the duck.
I got a couple more choice words that I'm gonna leave it alone. We might have to edit that out about the Ducks. And it rhymes with Chuck, right? So Chuck the Ducks. Okay. That's what I'm gonna say. But man, we're gonna introduce a new game over here at the Draft Club, right? We have our guy Tyler, the best producer in the land. He's behind camera. He's gonna read off some names. So what we're gonna do is this. We're gonna read off the first card, right? By our partners, Panini, our sponsor, Panini America. Go get you a pack of cards.
Yes,
they are the best out there. And what we're gonna do is he's gonna hold up a Panini card, right? And we're gonna compare and we're gonna say, hey, is this player better than the next player that he pulls, right? So we're gonna have some fun with this. You nervous? You good?
No.
And we're doing wide receiver. So this is the wide receiver edition. So
so he's gonna hold a card and then I'm gonna wait to say who is better than him. He's gonna keep reading the names. Is that what we're gonna do?
Yeah, he's gonna keep reading the names. And we have to stop him when we feel like, hey,
is this a collective decision? We have to do this together?
No, you on your own. You split this down the middle at the very beginning. Remember when I read my playoff rankings and then you was just kind of like, this is his list. So let's go ahead. Let's rock.
All right, Tyler.
All right, guys. We got the scorecards here. Put the camera checking out really quick.
Yeah. I like that.
We'll get that one later.
Okay.
Let me see if I can get a better shot.
Yeah.
Well, it's an awesome card nonetheless, but we got Justin Jefferson.
Ooh.
Okay, that's the guy we started with.
So we're starting with Justin Jefferson.
Yep. That's what I'm starting to stat.
The best receiver in the NFL. Okay, all right.
Okay.
All right, go ahead.
We got DJ Moore.
Keep going.
Nope.
I love you, DJ.
Stephon Diggs.
No.
Okay. CeeDee Lamb.
Nope.
No.
I thought you were going to say yes. Okay, thank God.
Tyreek Hill.
Nope.
No. I thought about it, though.
Devonta Smith.
Ooh, I love him, but no.
No.
Love him.
We got 3 left.
Okay.
Garrett Wilson.
No.
Nope.
Love you, G-Dub, though. Another great guy. They're all Panini guys. Great dudes.
Mike Evans.
Where you going?
How many 1,000-yard seasons, my guy?
I'm going no. I'm going to go ahead and lock mine in.
No, but I don't feel good about it. I'm going to be honest. I don't feel good about it. All right, who's our last guy?
All right, last guy. Cooper Kupp.
Oh, I love Coop, but no.
No, I'm going no, too.
No, Justin Jefferson, probably both of our number one wide receiver in the NFL.
Yeah, and the only way I was going to say it was somebody else, it had to be Jamar Chase, Odell Beckham, Malik Neighbors,
Devontae Adams,
Brian Thomas. What other LSU wide receivers, right? Because it had to have been another LSU wide receiver.
No, Devontae Adams. Put some respect on my man's name. Put some respect on Fresno State. Put some respect on Fresno State's
wide
name.
receiver U. LSU is wide receiver U.
Here we go. So, here we go. Wide receiver U. Okay.
There we go.
I like the game, though. I like the game.
I like it, too.
We'll bring it back.
Let's bring it back. Well, that wraps up another episode of Draft Club, Players Only.